Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another season review video. It's the third of Derry City today, and I've JP Fatty with me who's going to dissect through their season. And JP, was an interesting start of the season. Obviously, Declan Devine was in charge for the first 6 games. I think he had 2 points after 6. Is that correct?
Yeah, he did.
2 points after 6 games. And obviously, Parkes came in and Hodge came in, and there was a bit of fanfare about them too. And it just didn't really go right for them, did it? I mean, Parkes scored 19 goals when he was last at Derry. Turned out to be a disaster. I think I had him down the signing of the season. So I was a bit wrong there. That went wrong, badly wrong. It just shows as well, actually, you know what I mean? You think someone's going to come in and do well and they don't, and vice versa and all that kind of thing. But Hodge was very excited about it. And it's just a pity he got that injury. And Devine was obviously gone after 6 games and Higgins came in. But I suppose talk to us about that initial phase.
I think everybody was excited with the re-signing of David because of the goals he scored. He scored all types of goals the last time, but I think people quickly realised that he didn't have the same kind of service that he got the last time he was here. Like, there was no McDonough, and Jamie provided, I think, a lot of his assist, and there was no Junior as well to help him. I know Junior that came back in July, but I think at that point, I think David was on his way out at that point. But it was really disappointing because David's a local man. He's from just down the road in Strabane, and everybody wanted it to work out for him. And we were really excited about him because the goals he scored the last time he was here. There was a lot, as you said, there was a lot of fanfare about the signing of Joe Hodge, so a lot of people were getting excited. And the fact that he was coming from Manchester City as well was exciting because it's one of the top academies probably in England. And unfortunately he got injured, I think, and he came with an injury. I think the Derry City medical team picked it up, and he never recovered from it. And he went back in July at the end. Before the end of his own long deal, I think he actually went back, and I think he's actually at Wolves now. So so a wee bit of disappointment there, but I think that when we lost 2-0 to Longford in the first game of the season, I think alarm bells were starting to ring. And I think a lot of people saw that we weren't quite what we thought we would be. But we got lost the first 4 games. We had 2 promising okay performances against Drogheda and Dundalk. We got 2 1-1 draws out of that, but I think the writing was already on the wall. And I think the way we approached the rest of the season, I think we have to say that it was the right decision, unfortunately for Derby.
Yeah, it's hard to know what happened there. Obviously things probably weren't right in that between management and players. These things just happen at times. But when Higgins came in, obviously he started off brilliantly. I think he won in Sligo and beat Bows. Is that right?
Yeah, he did. He came in with the right mentality, because I remember his first press conference. I think he was asked about the question of going to how difficult will it be going to league leaders, and would he be happy with a draw? And he turned around and he says, "Well, I don't see no reason why we can't go there and win." And I think he installed that from his first day, and you could see it in the players as the season went on under him, that they weren't going into any game to get a draw. They were going into every game to win, especially when they played the likes of Shamrock Rovers. I think we played under Higgins. We played Shamrock Rovers 3 times and took the lead in all 3 games, and came away with 1 point. But it shows you the mentality of what Rory had installed in the team. I'm not saying it wasn't there under Declan, because you could see that with Declan that they went to the very end as well, as they've done very much under Ruaidhri Higgins. But I think one thing that Rory brought was the team was maybe 10 yards further up a pitch, and they were taking games to teams, and they weren't just happy to sit in and hit teams on the break. Like against Shamrock Rovers, we were 2-0 up in the Brandywell, and Rovers got a goal back just before half time, and Stephen Bradley brought on Rory Gaffney for, I think it was a defender he took off and put on a striker, and they absolutely tore us to bits in the second half. And that's the standard that we're trying to get there under Rory. And from what we've seen between that game and the end of the season, I've no doubt that over the next couple of years that we can get to that standard.
Yeah, it's interesting as well. I think Jamie McGonigal came in as well in July. I think it was in
Yeah.
the club. Yeah, and look, he's really improved. He came in with good pedigree, but I think as the season got on, his performances have really. I've watched him closely as well. He's not just a guy who gets goals. He doesn't give defenders a minute piece. He runs channels well. He's a nightmare up front, and that's what you
Yeah.
want. If you're not, even if you're not scoring goals, and which, by the way, he has started to score goals as well. But you get the feeling there's more to come out of him even next season. And he was actually vital in the last month of the season. I thought we gave him Player of the Month actually in helping Derry get fourth.
Yeah, he was vital from the moment they came in.
Yeah,
Higgins always said he, this is a guy who has no preseason. And you could see from the minute he came in that he was going to be a good player. I think his first goal he scored was against Drogheda, and it was absolutely sublime. The ball
yeah,
in,
I
I
remember
think,
the goal.
the back post. He just took it on his left, cut
Mm.
inside, smashed the past the keeper, and I think. Yeah, I think he'll go a long way to beat the goal he scored in Dalymount, which was absolutely unbelievable. And he scores all types of goals. He doesn't just score tap-ins, or he can score them from long range. And
Mm.
is it I'm trying to we haven't had a striker
Mm.
like Jamie that comes alive in the box once once a ball breaks, since I think maybe Roy Patterson was the same, Mark Farr,
Yeah, yeah.
um players like that. And I think Rory Higgins is right. Get Jamie McGonigal a pre-season and he'll score goals. He ended up our top goal scorer, and he was only here for half a season. He pipped Ronan Boyce in the last. He scored that goal against Dundalk. He pipped Ronan Boyce, who had led the scoring charts for
Poor
most of the
Ronan.
season.
He'll never get the
Yeah,
chance to be top scorer again.
probably never in his career, but um, Jamie has. That just shows you the kind of striker Jamie's going to be, and he's going to have like say McElhenney and Duffy and Patchins supplying him next year. And I think it'd be a big bet that Jamie could be top goal scorer. But he scored some crucial goals. He scored the penalty they won the game against Dundalk as well in the Brandywell. He
Mm.
scored the penalty to equalise against Finn Harps. He got that double against Sligo.
Mm.
And I think probably his most important goal of season for us was that winner in Dundalk, because it turned out that we ended up finishing fourth because of it. And um, I'm not sure how much we spent. I know there was a transfer fee involved, but whatever it was, it's money well spent so far. And
Yeah.
um, eight goals and 12 starts, I think Roy Higgins said last week, which is absolutely
And that's
incredible.
just the bare statistics as well. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't
Yeah,
count for the other
and
things he does in the game.
as you watch, I think it was the Sligo game I was watching, and or even going back to the Dundalk game, the Brandywell, he ran two centre halves ragged.
Mm.
He was in the channels. He didn't just stay in the one spot where he was easy to be marked. But against Sligo, I watched him particularly against in the Sligo game. He backs in the defenders in a way that he can't give away a foul. Where you see strikers trying to back in, they give away fouls. Where he backs
Mm.
in at a point where it's not a foul, and that's a big um asset they have, that you can have a striker who can do that and get you up the pitch when you're under pressure.
Yeah, no, huge player for Derry. I suppose while we're talking about players, who would you say were the three most important players for Derry this season? I'm guessing he's one of them anyway, even though he was
Definitely,
only in half a season.
definitely, definitely Jamie McGonigal, even though he was only there half a season.
Yeah.
Um, I think we have to say Ronan Boyce too.
Mm.
He was a huge find. He only seemed to get, if you remember back, there's a game in Richmond Park.
Yeah.
We lost.
Yeah, he came on sub, didn't
We lost Lopano to a red card. He came
he?
on
Yeah.
as a sub, I think, and
Yeah.
Lopano obviously had the suspension for the next couple of games, and Ronan just took his chance. Scored against Drogheda, scored the equaliser against Drogheda, scored a few other important goals for us. So I have to say him, and I'm going to say Nathan Gardside too, because even though he was a wee bit ropey at the start of the season, as the more games he played, the better he got, and he pulled off some crucial
Mm.
saves throughout the season for us. Throughout the entire season, not just towards the end in the middle. Um, so I'm going to go Gardside, Boyce, and Jamie McGonigal. There's other players within the squad, the likes of Joe Thompson, you could say there, Kieran Harkin, um, and Junior as well, made a big
Mm.
impact when he came in. Patching before he went back. But I think I have to go with them three. Gardside, Boyce, Jamie McGonigal, definitely.
Yeah, the two wing backs at Derry actually scored 12 goals between them this year, which is just
Lafferty as
ridiculous.
well, but we can put Danny Lafferty in there too as well.
Put them all
He
in.
played. Danny played Dundalk. I think he played centre midfield, and in my opinion, I thought he was absolutely outstanding that night as well.
Yeah, he's a clever footballer. He can nearly play anywhere, I think. Team performance of the season. Which performance stood out for you?
I'm going to go Higgins' first game in Sligo. And they're probably our games. You could probably say Dundalk and the Brandywell where we won 1-0. Dundalk, the last game where we won 2-1. But I'm going to go Sligo because it was Higgins' first game. He had one training session with them.
He kind of set the template a little bit though as well, didn't it?
It did. He came in, and as I said earlier, he said that he wasn't going there for draw. He was going there to win the game. And he set their stall out superbly. They knew that probably couldn't beat Sligo by playing Sligo. So he made them compact, and we got a free kick, and we got a penalty off a free kick, and we were just Sligo the long range efforts. I'm going to go for that because I think it set the stall for the rest of the season under Rory, and it was definitely probably the biggest result of the season because it got us off the bottom of the table, and it just made us kick on because we went on and the Daily Mount the next week and we won that game. So yeah, I'm going to go Sligo. Higgins' first game.
Yeah, and obviously probably halfway through the season or maybe just before, it was announced that Doherty was going to put some more money into the club. I think that gave the club a boost as well, and not just put more money into the club, but it was clear that players were going to be coming back. Let's say Duffy and McElhenney was like the dog in the street kind of knew, that sort of way. To be fair, before they were announced, you know what I mean. But also, the talk about, academies and other bits and pieces like that might be coming into play, and it wasn't like an outside investor coming in all of a sudden pumping money into the club or anything like that. So I think that gave the club a big boost as well, and probably gave the players a boost. Things like that surprisingly do give players a boost,
Yeah, it gave the whole city a boost, not just the football club, but as you say, the players have probably seen this and seen the likes of McElhenney and Duffy and Patchen are coming back, and it gives Emmons a boost. They look, if I want a new contract for next year, I have to really not go down here, and I think they did. The likes of Joe Thompson, who's probably going to the likes of Patton's going to be coming in that area Thompson's playing, so he not got down. He was absolutely superb. Since Higgins has came in, he's got a new 2-year contract, which I'm absolutely delighted about. He'll be a key player for us next year as well, despite the other signings that are coming in.
You're going to have a lot of football quickly anyway, because you're going to have the FA Cup, the A Sports could be back, and Europe. Yeah. So squad is needed big time anyway.
So it gives a lot of players here, look, not go down here, get a new contract. And this is a club. This is a club that's going to be on the up, and I want to be here for this success. And as you say, new signings as well. And Alexa Duffy and McElhenney, who are described as two of the best players in the League of Ireland, not just the League of Ireland, but Ireland. As you're a Derry player, seeing them two come and they be your teammates, you want to be playing alongside the players like that, because I think, I don't know, I've never been a footballer, but I think if you're a footballer and you have players like that playing beside you, they can make you a better footballer. So they can, and especially for the young lads, the likes of Evan McLaughlin, who played quite a bit in the second half of the season. He's only 17 as well, so he's going to have his chances to learn off them. And then likes of Ronan Boyce, and who still, let's not forget, still only under 21.
I'll tell you a little funny one about Ronan Boyce. I actually spoke to him about Michael Duffy, and I just asked him this before Duffy officially signed. I asked him, who's the toughest player you've come up against directly in the League of Ireland? And he said Michael Duffy. And I said, he said no, it was actually after he signed. Sorry, it was after he signed, because he said, he said, now the only problem is now I have to come up against them one-on-one in training. So I thought that was quite funny. But that's how you learn as well. He won't come up against a better player than Michael Duffy week in,
Oh,
week out in the league, but he's coming up against him in training, so that'll certainly get you ready for anything that any other player can throw at you.
yeah, exactly. Like
That's the point as
he's
well.
gonna
It's the
be,
standards raised all round, you know what I mean? That's the
yeah,
point.
yeah. Like he's going to be up against Duffy every day in training. He's going to learn a lot, and if a lot, he's going to learn a lot about how to play against a player
Yeah.
the likes of Michael Duffy. And as you say, there's probably nobody better in the League of Ireland to come up against. So if he can do that in training, and then he can incorporate it into matches, then it's going to be an absolutely fantastic player, which he is already. But say he's still young and still a lot of learning to do, and I'm really looking forward to the next few years.
I suppose the funny thing is, JP, getting into Europe, I suppose that felt like a bonus in many ways. Did it even going up, I'd say, to the dock, you thought, look, if we get in, we get in. If we don't, we don't. Obviously, you have to wait the next week, but if we get fourth, did you expect at any point of the season that you'd pinch fourth place in the league?
When Higgins came in, definitely not. Definitely
Yeah.
not. I would say probably around August time, you were probably looking at the league table and thinking, there might be an outside chance. But when we played Drogheda, I think Sligo had blew a 2-goal lead the night before in Finn Park.
That's right.
And I was going to Drogheda that day thinking, we can get third here. We can get third. And then we went and lost. And we didn't win for the next 4 games. And you're thinking, oh, well, we've blown Europe here now.
But the thing is, Bows were doing the same thing, though.
Yeah. The thing is, Bows had, I think probably when we got to September time and we were sitting in fourth and we'd seen that Bows had these couple of games in hand and saw that one of them was against Shamrock Rovers. The other was against Waterford. You're thinking, well, they're probably going to win the Waterford game, and
the opposite.
You're just sort of having hope rather than expectation. But when we lost to Drogheda, I thought, well, you know what, it's not the worst result. Then we went on the next game, we didn't win that, and you're thinking, right. Then when it came down to the last 2 games, you're just thinking, right, get fourth place and let the cup fight. And I said it even after we'd lost to Drogheda and drew with Van Hart. It was like, just get fourth place and let the cup final take care of itself. Never mind about third. Get fourth place, let the cup final take care of itself. If Pat's won it, happy days. If we don't, then you know what, we didn't expect to get Europe, and we can build on it for next.
It wasn't a must that Derry got Europe, though, wasn't it? Not really. You felt, yeah.
Not this year, definitely. In terms of every other year, it's probably like winning the lotto. If you know what I mean, it's you went in with an expectation that you weren't going to finish any higher than 5th or maybe 6th, and then all of a sudden, then you finish 4th and you're sitting in the cup final day and knowing that there's probably a lot more riding on it for Derry City than there was some Pats, because some
Derry and Bows, to be honest with you.
yeah, exactly. It may as well been a Derry Bows final in terms of it. So
you're not taking the cup away from us, JP.
Oh, definitely. We did that twice before.
That's true, actually.
But,
yeah, that's true.
As I said, the last couple of weeks, and then you looked at Sligo and Dundalk in the last 2 games, and you're thinking, oh, we have to beat Sligo. We have to go to Dundalk with a chance. And we went, and the only other thing you were worried about was going to Dundalk was Sligo had already qualified for Europe. They couldn't finish second. They were already finishing. They couldn't finish lower than third. But fair play to them. They went out. They gave a performance for their fans in the last game of the season, and they won 1-0 up. And when we heard that Georgie Kelly had equalised, you were obviously a bit worried because we were still only 2-1 at the time, and a goal for Dundalk would put it back in the Bohemians' hands. And then Jackie had that unbelievable clearance off the line. And when he cleared that, you're thinking, this is going to be our day. And the full-time whistle goes in Dundalk, and there's still about 5 minutes left in Sligo. Jesus, hurry up.
I was there as well. I was there, as well. I was there checking it every minute myself, so I couldn't imagine what the Derry fans were thinking.
Because I know there was some watching Flash Score, there was others watching the match actually on the League of Ireland TV, and then I think I looked on the pitch and I seen, was it Paddy McCourt had his phone out, and the players were gathered round, and I think the players got the result before us because they started
Yeah.
running towards us celebrating, and
Mm.
you're thinking we're celebrating like this, and we still got a week. They know whether we're good, but I think in the end it was all worth it. But
Yeah. You still have
it
to
def-
celebrate that moment, I think, because you don't get to
yeah,
celebrate it a week
definitely,
later. You know what I mean? Really,
no,
you're not with your fans, so
definitely
you
had
still have to. But obviously, there was a lot to do. But
definitely had to. As a lot of
mm,
people says, it's like going back to the old days, where say around the mid 90s, where Derry were constantly challenging for the league title and stuff, and
mm,
you're waiting on you're in the ground looking at your phones, waiting for results coming through from elsewhere, or listening. Back then when you would have been listening to the radio, and but but even as I said, like as we were coming up the end of the season, and it was looking like we were probably going to miss out in Europe. You're probably trying to convince yourself that look, maybe missing Europe wouldn't be a bad thing because it would give Higgins a chance to
it's one of them,
build
isn't
his
it? Yeah,
squad. Yeah, you're trying to convince yourself, oh, look,
yeah, yeah,
Europe might be a bad thing because it'll
yeah.
allow us to have a go at the
Sure.
league. But,
Yeah.
but in the back of your mind, you're saying, fuck's sake,
Ah,
we
yeah.
need to get Europe.
Yeah. No, it's always the way. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Look, JP, that was fantastic. Thanks for coming on. I really enjoyed that. And lads, let us know what you think in the comments. What did you think of Derry City season overall? What do you think? How do you think they're going to do in the future? Can they mount a challenge next season? And thanks for watching. Cheers, JP.